Sounds fine to me.
So, I'm FrameBreeze. I haven't presented much in terms of homebrew ever yet, especially not here. But, you know, I decided to make something. So, Groove Coaster for the PSP is my project here. Now, what is Groove Coaster? Groove Coaster is a rhythm game which has been going on for quite a while, and it started out on mobile, on iOS to be exact, and it later got a Android port as well. After that, it got a release on arcade where it got quite a few releases, um, and I think that's the most popular one as well. Not now, of course, because of Corona. Then there was a Steam release which kind of died, and then they went on to Switch. Now all versions are still being updated, except for Steam. So, of course, the version I chose to work on first was the Steam version because, well, it was already dead. Might as well, So, why did I choose Groove Coaster um, to make a homebrew for, like a homebrew player for? Well, like I said, I've been reverse engineering Groove Coaster for Steam for about a year and a half now, and from that I have a lot of knowledge on how the game works internally and stuff. And the game itself uses barely any textures at all, so that blends in very well with the PSP. Uh, the game is made out of uh, models with large solid color surfaces, which work well on a small screen, with not a high resolution. And I think the most important part is that the beauty comes from movement and not from the scene complexity. So even if you can't render a lot of models on screen, that doesn't matter because that's not what makes the game good. So all of that combined, simple graphics. Now, that's all great, but you want to see some gameplay. So I have a few scenes here. This is all very colorful and fun, but as you can see, there is, well, I'm not sure if you can see actually. However, there's a main small line which goes through every map. You follow this line, and on the line, notes appear. These are the targets that you have to hit. And, well, it's a rhythm game, so you do that to the beat and whatever. However, the backgrounds are very, very colorful. And I think this is what makes the game so much fun to do, because it's really like you're riding a roller coaster in a very colorful environment. Very fun to look at. So, then why did I choose to make this specifically for the PSP? Well, I have done previous projects on the PSP, so I know how to program for the PSP. Uh, but of course, I've also done that for PC and for other platforms as well. Well, the PSP sticks out because it has very good development tools. I can debug live on real hardware without much issues at all. And there's also a pretty decent emulator, though can't really use that because my program crashes. But you know, for some tests, it is quite useful. The PSP is also portable, which means that you can take it anywhere you want, which is personally something I really like doing. Just you can just slide it into your pocket and take it anywhere. And unlike other portable systems like the Switch or the Vita, it has no weird sticks sticking out. So you can literally just slide it into your pocket and go. Now, on top of that, it's not extremely powerful. You have a lot of power to play with, of course. There's plenty of juice in the thing, but um, it's not like you can just throw on anything and expect it to work. You have to do some work in order to get good performance. Um, so that also brings with it some challenges. Although, not all of them stem from the low or the relatively low performance. Rather, the official format has not been fully reverse engineered yet by me, but that's just a matter of time since in the short period of time that I have worked on Groove Coaster, I have made considerable progress on reverse engineering, and I think that will also continue as well. Now, like you'd seen in the gameplay footage, the game is not actually 16 by 9. It's meant to be played in a 9 by 16 aspect ratio, so in a portrait mode, basically, which is kind of a challenge because the game expects you to use two sets of inputs. So you would need the D-pad and the face buttons, right, on the right side, which is kind of annoying to hold. So we'll need to find a solution for that on how to do that. Besides that, there's the issue with memory. Now, this isn't a very large issue because, like I said, there's not many textures in the game at all. However, the Steam assets in particular have a very nasty, they're quite nasty because they are packaged in an archive which uses compression. And currently, the only decompression function for that requires the assets to be loaded into memory and then be decompressed into memory. And we don't have enough memory for that. So we'll need to find a solution for that. For example, pre-processing the assets on PC and then shoving those processed files onto the PSP. That would be a one-time process and that would work fine. Not great, of course, but that's not the case for all files. Not all files need to be converted. For example, the arcade version and the mobile version and the Switch version, none of those really require a conversion in order to work. So you can just take the assets from those and shove them onto the PSP as well. Which is my next point. Yes, different versions do mostly use the same files. However, audio is different. For example, the Switch uses Opus Audio, which I will not be supporting. So you'll need to convert that and stuff like that. But those are all small issues which have solutions to them and can be solved. Now then, a bit more practical information on the project. I am working on this as a way to basically like look at the charts on your PSP currently. I want to get that done first, and then after that I can add the playable part. So it's not a priority to be able to play this with minimal parts of the actual game or of the actual rendering implemented. The full rendering will be implemented and then the gameplay. Now, as I said earlier, this game uses the assets from, for example, the Steam game, the mobile version, basically any version. You can use those assets, and in fact, you have to use those assets or custom ones if you make those. But I will not be supplying any assets with the game because, well, that's not what I wanted it to be. So, therefore, you'll need to rip them yourself, which is quite easy, in fact, from the Steam version. Would require running one script to convert them, and then you can copy paste them. That's it. Now my last point, it will be open source, and the library for conversion for the files for the Steam version, that part is already open source and on my GitHub, which I haven't linked, but you can find it under my username. Now, hopefully, I'll make that code well documented so that it can be used as example code for newer developers or developers that want to get into 3D rendering on the PSP and stuff like that. So, in short, it's going to be only a viewer now, no gameplay yet. Assets from all versions work, sometimes with a little bit of conversion. Right? It'll be open source, and the release date is whenever, basically. I work on this full time for a week, and then I put it down for 2 months, and then I work on it full time for a week again. So it really is just whenever. And that's it. that's the project. Might have went a bit faster, but I hope it came through. So, are there any questions on the project at the moment? Ah, beautiful silence. An option to hold the PSP. Um, well, yes, that is an option that I was. Will I have a roadmap? No, maybe, but not with time zones, not with dates on them. An option to hold the PSP sideways. That is something that I've been considering. Many of the official charts will break, like you'll have things on the side of the screen that don't match up. However, um, I think I will be adding that because, it'll be much easier to play that way. Now, I have done a few tests with holding the PSP rotated like that, and it is possible, especially if you don't use any gameplay. If you just look at them, at the charts, that works fine. But if you actually want to play, um, that wouldn't really work that well unless you hold it sideways, like standard 16:9. So then, oh yes,
I love you.
thanks, love you too. Um, anyways, yeah, the reverse engineering stuff. I will also be posting all of the. Uh, I actually am already posting all the info that I've figured out from reverse engineering, though only posted it in a format that I can understand, basically. So I'll need to clean that up. Um,
Here's a question from J1G. Will this support charts from GC Sim?
oh, you know about GC Sim? Oh, hell yeah. Um, yes, GC Sim, for those who don't know, which is probably everyone here, GC Sim is a basically like a clone game. Basically, it's a simulator of Groove Coaster. Um, I have actually spoken with the creator of that as well. Um, the format that GC Sim uses is JSON, and I'm gonna add that too. Yes, that it will support that. Um, However, the GC Sim format at the moment does not support all the colorful graphics. It only supports the basic line and the notes and a few flashing effects. But I will implement that. Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Random asking, what is the actual problem for holding it sideways?
well, the problem is if you grab your PSP and you hold it um, like in portrait mode basically, and you need to use both the D-pad and the what do you call them, the circle, cross, those keys, then you'll see that it's not very comfortable to have. Yes, they're buttons, but they're not very comfortable to hold that way. At least I think they're not. Of course, you can, and I will add the option to just hold it that way or hold it um, in 16:9. But basically, the issue with it is that it's just not extremely ergonomic.
We have a question from Calvinist. When making Groove Coaster work on PSP, what do you see as a challenge to implement code-wise?
So far, I've actually run into a few already. Um, so the issue mostly, I think, is that well, The GC sim format, it's quite easy because the GC sim format uses Bezier curves, so like infinite precision curves basically, which are a pain to convert. And the format that it stores it in is basically that every section of the line is relative to the last. So you need to basically pre-calculate, or you need to go through the entire line up to that point in order to find out its position, which will just be done during a loading screen, of course. But that is something that you need to do. The official format does it differently. The official format for every line piece, it just has a absolute position. Um, so if you change the position of the part before it, that doesn't matter because the rest will just stay where it is. So supporting both formats will require a bit of, duplication, I guess, in different ways because you have to support two different notations. But I think that's the biggest challenge, just supporting the two formats while trying to keep the code base, you know, as one thing. Okay, so I can see how many buttons do you need for gameplay. This might have not been very clear, but Groove Coaster does not use any movement buttons. Um, Groove Coasters, you move along the line automatically, and there you have two. Well, they're called boosters on the arcade version. Basically, you have both of your hands can have two 8-directional analog sticks, more or less, which on consoles is just a D-pad and the face buttons. Um, and with that, you hit the notes. So for example, you might have a basic note. You just hit one of the two sides. There's also ones where you have to hit both at the same time, or where you have to move one of them up. So you hit the up D-pad or the triangle, stuff like that. So you do need two sets of 4 buttons. Um, Otherwise, it'd be very awkward to play.
Would modded songs be able to run on this?
Yes, yes. Um, was definitely because I am the person who is also working um, on the editor. So if I wouldn't be able to run my own maps, then I don't know why I'd be even doing it. Will it support Obdito? Well, that's up to Uwu Legacy. No, that it's definitely up to Uwu Legacy, I think.
No, what are you talking about? You don't need anything to
I do though.
pull it
Like,
off.
how am I gonna implement?
You want me to send you a prototype?
Yeah, no, I'll pay for it though.
Hmm.
But like you know, the fancy coding shenanigans. Anyways, so are those? I guess that's a lot of questions. Um, but
Doesn't look like there's any more ones from YouTube, so
sorry,
doesn't look like there's more questions from YouTube.
doesn't look like it now. So I guess that's it then.
Thanks, TBS. That's actually really cool. I haven't heard of that game before.